All right, welcome to Saturday Fantasy Baseball. This is me, and we like to wait for the sound to come through the chat room, so that's what we're doing before we get started on our fantasy baseball nuggets, tidbits, and everything else. And once the sound comes through in our chat room, which you can come to every day at 9 a.m. Eastern, 7 days a week, Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com/live. Create yourself an account. We don't send spam. We don't sell your data and all of that good stuff. It's free to join, and we just love our chat room with the most knowledgeable fan base of baseball in the country. And that's the truth. And if you listen to our shows, you know we don't make up fibs. Right, Leonard?
Excellent.
And of course, we know Lenny is here for sure because he's my biggest supporter. And I'm his. So that's what we do. Every day we talk fantasy baseball.
Waiting for sound.
We're just waiting for sound. And also, I'd like to let people know you can join in on the happy hour on Wednesday nights. And they do another show, Happy Hour Sports Spin, on Thursday nights. And that one includes our friend Beantown Bad Boy. You can also find King Hap and Taco on that podcast on Wednesday and Thursday night, and sometimes they do a show on Tuesday, but you'll have to follow them on Facebook. They have a group, Happy Hour Social Club. You can find their Twitch channel at Happy Hour SC, or you could come and join us here at 7:30 Wednesday nights for the live show, and we can direct you on what to do and who to talk to and everything. We have a lot of nuggets today. It's Saturday, almost 4th of July. We're getting ready for the fireworks. Actually, I heard some fireworks last night, so we're already celebrating around here on Long Island. And good morning. The sound is good. Sound is good to our friends in the chat room. So we will go ahead and say hello to everybody who joined us today. Eddie's showing the handprints of his grandkids. And good morning to Boston Paul, Chris from Cambridge, Chris JP. Thank you very much once again, Chris JP. If you come early, he posts all the transactions in baseball up from the day before, and we appreciate it. So great job to Chris JP, a.k.a. Zelmo's brother. Data Premier is here. The Hulkster Daniel Ferrara is here, joining us with his presence. Yeah, Daniel, I've noticed you showing up lately. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that the White Sox pitching is actually decent. I don't know how they keep getting wins, but they're doing it. Eddie Heckman is here, of course, with not his great-granddaughter, but his fabulous granddaughter, Samantha. She's 12 years old, I believe. Coming up is a birthday for her, so let me just check out the age. Yes, she will be 12 on July 5th, so let's all say happy birthday to Samantha. Eddie's oldest grandchild. She's the oldest of 4 granddaughters, and we've been following along with Samantha and Allison, and I believe the other one named Natalie. There's 4 of them. Who am I missing? Allison, Samantha, Natalie, and there's one more. Eddie, help me out here, and we'll also say hello to Teresa, who's probably in the house as well. Tonight, they're going to the Orioles game. Imagine that. We never hear Eddie saying he's going to an Orioles game, right? So we have our biggest Orioles fan in the country right here. Yesterday, he liked to point out this morning already, he pointed out that 1 home run for the Orioles equals 1 win for the Orioles. And I'll tell you some stuff about the run differential. The poor New York Yankees headed downhill, as Lenny would say. He thinks they're going to finish last place in the AL East. I disagree with that, but he was sure right that they weren't going to be able to keep that up all year. And to Caroline, Eddie Heckman's 4th granddaughter, good morning to her. But mostly good morning to Samantha, who will be 12 on July 5th, which is approaching rapidly. And Turd, which is our resident Texas Rangers insider, pointed out that his team, 4 games equals 4 losses for the Rangers, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and finish saying hello to everybody. Mal Palentina, good morning to you. Merrill and Mitchell Hartson. We have both the Hartson twins here today. That's great. Rotorius Turd, and who else? Tommy Johnson, I did see, came in, and I can't see below that, so help me.
Toledo.
And Unholy, how could anybody forget the unholiest of Toledos, okay?
And Boston Paul.
I said hi to Boston Paul.
Okay.
And Boston Paul points out that Alec Burleson is on fire, batting .375 with 2 home runs and 12 RBIs over the last 7 days. That's a great tidbit and great nuggets to go along with it, Boston Paul, so thank you for that. The Giants lost a good one yesterday. And I should say the Giants lost another veteran, Hall of Fame, iconic superstar. First Willie Mays last week, and now Orlando Cepeda, and I'm sure all of you are familiar, most of all you older guys in the chat room. He was known as Cha-Cha and the Baby Bull Cepeda. He slugged 379 home runs. He batted .297 and made 11 All-Star teams over 17 seasons. He was unanimously selected as the National League Rookie of the Year in 1958 with the Giants. He was also a unanimous selection for the National League MVP award in 1967, 9 years later, when he helped lead the Cardinals to the World Series championship.
Leonard Donaldson.
Good morning to LD.
J.R. Metz.
Mr. Matz. Hello to J.R. Matz and the Motzinger family. Moose, Mikey, Danny, and Mrs. Motzinger. Love to see it. Thanks for joining us this morning. Now, speaking of the Giants, you had Brett Wisely hit the Giants' 31st walk-off home run against the Dodgers, and that walk-off was a great way to honor a legend, right? Honor the legend of Orlando Cepeda, who hit a walk-off on August 18th, 1961, and Brett Wisely, a great way to honor the legend. Not Lenny, but the other legend. Welcome to Chris from Cambridge, who lets us know that it is Pedro Guerrero's 68th birthday, so thank you for that. Turd loves Tommy Fan. He's done a full 180 on him. I think I feel the same way, Turd. For reasons that probably nobody would guess, right? Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber both on the 10-day injured list, but sources have said that both of these guys, Harper and Schwarber, have avoided significant injuries. So, first of all, Kyle Schwarber was not having the Mr. June month of normalcy that we've seen over the last few years, with Kyle Schwarber just crushing home runs all June long. He's not doing it this year, and maybe it has something to do with the fact that maybe he just was, maybe he has been nursing an injury, okay, for lack of better words that I can't seem to find in my head at this moment. All right. So here's the players with 100 or more home runs and 100 or more stolen bases during the 2020s. So basically since 2020. There's only one. Who is it? I'm going to put this to the chat room. Who is the only player with 100 home runs and 100 stolen bases since 2020? Turd loves Christopher Sanchez, all right? I do too. He's good. Plus, didn't he just sign an extension of some kind? I think I heard on MLB radio they were talking about how it was a good deal for the team to lock him up. Let's talk about Jackson Chourio, 20 years and 109 days old. He is the youngest player with a grand slam since Jose Reyes did it at 20 years old and 4 days on June 15th, 2003. He's also the 10th youngest player with a grand slam since 1900. It's not Acuna. Great guesses, though. Lindor, no. Tucker, no. This is a great Genius of the Day question that I came up with on the run. Having had two of them, Tommy, I can attest they're awful. He's talking about hamstring injuries. Tommy Johnson said he doesn't even want to know what a hamstring injury is like. They look painful. So, is that all the guesses we have? I'm going to have to tell the answer now before I forget altogether. But there were some great guesses in the chat room. Kyle Tucker, Ronald Acuna, and Francisco Lindor. No, none of those guys have 100 or more home runs and 100 or more stolen bases since 2020. There's only one guess left. Come on, Malpal. Wake up. I know it's only 6:07 over there, but let's get it going. I'm not going to tell you because I think this is just right on the tip of someone's tongue. Come on, there's only one reasonable answer left. All right, I'll give you a few more minutes. Going back to Jackson Churio, and I did see James K. was here. Hopefully he's still here. And no, it's not Tatis, turd. Good guess, though, especially since I was directing it at Malpal because Malpal is the Padres insider and Tatis is a Padre. And no, it's not Ohtani. Are you sure this is right, Leonard?
I'm sure.
Did you add up Ohtani's home runs and stolen bases over the last few years? I don't know.
That's the right answer.
That's not it. That's not it, J.R. Matz. It's not Ohtani. It's not Ohtani, but okay, so I know you guys think you have it all figured out, but according to this tidbit, and I have to admit, I did not double check this, but keep guessing. You'll get it. So is James K still here? Because we're going to talk about the Brewers, and that's his team. Jackson Churio hit the Brewers' third grand slam in their past 4 games. It's not Mike Trout. Good guess, though. Keep going. The Brewers' third grand slam in their last 4 games. 4 grand slams in the Brewers' last 5 at-bats with the bases loaded this week. Yes, the Brewers are hitting grand slams like crazy, all right? Now, is there a more stunning surprise in the National League than the Milwaukee Brewers? They now have an 11.5 game lead over the Cubbies for the NL Central. Maybe the Brewers are better off without Craig Counsell, right? It's not Altuve and it's not Marcus Semien. This is so fun, right, Leonard?
Yes.
This is a great one. The Nationals will call up James Wood, right? Turd told us yesterday, expect to hear some news on James Wood. Well, Turd's been following this guy like a hawk, and he's been giving us the updates as they go. But Turd said yesterday, and I'll give him all the credit for this one, expect some news on James Wood coming up possibly today, and it's true. Good guess for you, Turd. It's not Starling Marte. It's not Christian Yelich. I'll give you another hint.
Don't give me a hint.
Okay, Lenny says no hint. Don't tell people it was a guess, Turd. You're supposed to be smart. It's not a guess. It was a well-researched guess, an educated guess, right? It was an educated guess from yesterday. So let's give you the news on James Wood since we're all here and we're all having a great, wonderful Saturday morning. James Wood will come up. He will be called up from AAA Rochester prior to Monday's game against the Mets. Of course, is Laura here because the Mets, and I know Chris JP is a Mets fan too, and Rotorius I know is a Mets fan, so I have enough Mets fans here to talk about this, and it's not Turner. And J.R. Matz, genius of the day. Okay, put your right hand up, as Lenny would say, and repeat after me. I am the genius of the day. It is Jose Ramirez, the only player in baseball right now with 100 or more stolen bases and 100 or more home runs since 2020. What a great... that was just a tidbit, and I turned it into a genius of the day at the last second. So I'll just pat myself on the back for that one. It might be the best genius of the day for the year. Thanks for everybody who joins in and plays with us. And great to have Samantha in the chat room. Happy birthday to the young lady who turns 12 on July 5th. Unholy Toledo brings up Cody Bellinger, saying that Bellinger didn't know how many outs there were on the bases last night, and the Cubbies are on a death spiral. They're not the only team, Unholy. I almost called you Turd, Unholy, but you wouldn't even mind if I did, I bet. Here's a fun fact of the day from Leonard Donaldson. Tom Seaver is the only pitcher to make his major league debut after 1920 to have 300 or more wins with a sub-3 ERA. Tom Seaver ended his career with 311 wins and a 2.86 ERA. Number 41, Tom Seaver, a Met, by the way. All right. Okay, was that a tidbit or a nugget? Who knows? I try to ask Lenny what the difference between the tidbits and nuggets are, and he's explained it to me because apparently there is a difference, but I still don't get it, so who cares? They're tidbits and nuggets.
Somebody new in the chat room. ORENSM. Organism.
OREN.
SM. Under Mitchell Harston.
Right. I see I can't see that low on my screen. But anyway, welcome to the guy whose name starts with an ORE. It's a new friend, so let's welcome him aboard to the chat room, and hopefully you have sound and can join in on the fun in the chat room with our fantasy baseballers. All right, so we just read a tidbit about Tom Seaver, and we're talking about James Wood mostly right now, and we're talking about how he's coming up tomorrow to face the Mets. The Nationals are calling him up. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He's had a phenomenal season at Rochester, batting .346 with a .458 on-base percentage, 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases over 51 games. One of the best things about this guy is not just that he hits home runs and steals bases, but so far at the minor league level, which, is a big difference between the minor and the majors, but he's showing great play discipline. He always has. He walks 17% of the time. You very rarely ever see that. And he strikes out 18% of the time in the International League, which is actually very impressive because he's only 21. Now, that's at the International League, but he struck out 31.5% between High A Wilmington and Double A Harrisburg last season. He's improved tremendously on his eye at the plate. He's capable of playing all three outfield positions, but we do expect that he'll be used mostly in left field for the Nationals. Now, the Nationals fans are pretty excited. Monday, July 1st is one of the most anticipated days in recent franchise history because James Wood is a very exciting prospect. So the Nats will need to formally select his contract to get him onto the 40-man roster. I've already told you he's only 21 years old, but he's the number 3 overall prospect according to Baseball America, and he was one of the centerpieces in that trade that sent Juan Soto to San Diego. Now, I wonder, this must really piss off our friend Malpal because, as I mentioned earlier, he's a big Padres guy. Now, the Padres are the ones that actually drafted James Wood, and they sent him off to Washington for Juan Soto, who is now no longer with the Padres. So you can kind of look at it as like a waste. It's almost as bad as like some of the Mets trades that we've seen in previous years. Oh, Eddie, I got to tell you a story because Eddie says he has a brain MRI this afternoon, and I sure hope that you decided to get this done at one of those open MRIs, because remember when I had Bell's palsy a few years ago? I had to go to an MRI for my brain. Not only do they put you in that tube, but they put this thing on your head, and it covers a lot of your face. And so not only are you in that tiny space, but you have this helmet on your head, and I had no idea that it would freak me out so bad. But as soon as I got all the way in there, I started pushing the button and telling the guy I needed to get out of here, and he was taking too long, so I literally crawled out of the machine on my own. I went to my doctor, and they gave me a Xanax, and then so that I could go and get my brain scanned. But then I started reading, and I found that a lot of places now have these open MRIs where you're not stuck like claustrophobic in some tiny tube, and it's actually open all around your body. So I took the Xanax and I went in the open MRI, and it was a great day. That's all I'm saying. Do try to get that MRI done at an open MRI, because I'll tell you what, it's pretty scary. Even if you don't have claustrophobia, anxiety, it is so horrible, okay? So there you go. All right, so Eddie has a brain MRI. Good luck with that, my friend. He also has a Tom Seaver rookie card. It was graded as an 8, and he got it at a baseball park for 5 cents. That is 1 cent for the card, and he sold it last year for $3,000 plus. Okay. So, once again, Malpal, Wood was selected by the Padres in the second round of the 2021 draft. Baseball America ranked him the number 5 prospect in San Diego's system heading into 2022, but he increased his prospect stock almost immediately with a strong showing in 50 single-A games that year. He hit 10 home runs, stole 15 bases, and drew a walk 15.7% of the time, striking out just 17.8% of the time, and batting .337, which translated into a 168 weighted runs created plus. Well, yes, great conversation happening in the chat room. C.J. Abrams and Woods for Gore and for Soto. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that C.J. Abrams was also part of that trade. That is unbelievable. Not only did they give up James Woods, but they gave away C.J. Abrams. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. They gave it all away for Juan Soto. At the time, it didn't seem like a bad trade because Soto was so exciting and these two were just youngsters. But I'll tell you what, C.J. Abrams and James Wood, woo, baby. All right. Shohei Ohtani is batting .444 with a .563 on base percentage and a 1.194 slugging, 8 home runs, 17 RBIs during his 10-game RBI streak. He has 54 homers and 471 June at-bats during his entire MLB career. Unholy, I feel ya. We love you. Thanks for coming in with us. We just love having you. All right, and by the way, dementia does not show on you at all, especially with your baseball history, because you're as sharp as a tack when it comes to remembering the 1950s, the 1960s, and all of the great, iconic baseball things. I mean, you would never know. So, just keep on coming here and talking baseball, dude. We love it. All right, the 22 MLB pitchers to beat all 30 MLB teams. There's 22 of them, and by the way, Lenny would love for me to go through each and every one, but I'm just not doing it. I'll tell you the current ones, the ones that are still in baseball currently, all right? And that would be only a couple. Max Scherzer. Is Zach Greinke still playing? Garrett Cole has beat every team in baseball. Justin Verlander and Charlie Morton. And those are the only ones still playing, but there's 22 total pitchers that have beat every other team in baseball. The Mets are 16-4 in their last 20 games. Love the Mets. Grimace, right? What do we think of Grimace? Grimace is saving the Mets. First it was the Rally Pimp. Then it now is Grimace. We need these little superstitions, but whatever it is, okay? Here's the deal. Before the All-Star break, the Mets' schedule includes 2 more games against the Astros, 4 at the Washington Nationals, 4 at the Pirates, 3 versus the Nationals at home, and 3 versus the Rockies at home. So how many of those 16 games will the Mets win? Mind you, 7 of the 16, so nearly half of the games that the Mets play between now and the All-Star break come against the Nationals. Daniel the Hulkster Ferrara. What's up with those uniforms? They look like the St. Louis Cardinals colors. What's going on? That's not the White Sox colors. I know they didn't have City Connect uniforms back then, so what is it? All right. Let's go Mets, Laura. You must have had your ears ringing, right? Unholy, the lack of filter is what we love the most about you. I would say this. No filter necessary, okay? No filter necessary. Just say it like it is. And if people's feelings are hurt, it's too bad. Truth hurts, okay? Anyway, it would make people a lot more tough if everybody was just honest. How many of those 16 games will the Mets win? And again, 7 of them are against the Nationals. And let me just remind you about the amazing 3 weeks that the Mets have had. On June 2nd, they were 24-35. Now, the Mets are 40-39 and just a half a game out of the wild card. We love it. Those are throwback uniforms. Seems strange that the White Sox would have blue and red uniforms, but okay. We learn new stuff every day, and that's why you should always join us in the chat room at 9 a.m., 7 days a week at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live. We tell the truth here. There have been 9 shutouts by MLB pitchers this year, and the Phillies have a third of them. Now, the Phillies are obviously leading the National League East, okay? In the last 10 games, they're 6-4, and they have a 121 run differential, and that is over 60 more than the Atlanta Braves, who are currently in second place in the NL East. They have a 54 run differential. But the Phillies just crushing it. They're one of only 4 teams in all of baseball that have a run differential above 100 at the moment. And I will say that the Orioles are one of them, the Dodgers are one of them, and the Yankees are still there. The Miami Marlins are 16-43 this year when Tim Anderson starts and 13-9 when he doesn't. And it's funny, if you go to his RotoWire page, he has 0 stats for the year. You literally have to scroll down and look at like the actual game stats to get a summary of what Tim Anderson is doing. And I'm sure they haven't fixed it because nobody cares, because Tim Anderson is gross. I mean, not personally gross, but gross for fantasy. He's a horrible fantasy. In the last 27 games, in 103 at-bats, he has 3 RBIs, 0 home runs, 1 stolen base, and 2 caught stealing. So he is useless, and if you have him in your roster, you are just wasting your life away. Good morning to John Garofalo. It's great to see you, and we love you. Thanks for getting up early today. The Cleveland Guardians are 33-12 this year when David Fry starts, and 18-16 when he doesn't. So David Fry bringing some good tidings to the Cleveland Guardians. He's a 28-year-old catcher. On the season, he's batting .316, 8 home runs, 4 stolen bases. David Fry, how many of you even know who David Fry is? The 28-year-old catcher for the Guardians, and they are 33-12 when he starts and 18-16 when he doesn't. Josh Donaldson trolling Tim Anderson. I don't know how much better it could possibly get than that, okay? The Los Angeles Dodgers are 37-14 when Miguel Rojas plays in the game, and 14-17 when he doesn't. All right, to my favorite Orioles family, the Heckmans. Gunnar Henderson, the 22-year-old phenom, okay, the great shortstop, the 23-year-old from Baltimore, 6 wins above replacement already. You know, he won the Rookie of the Year award last year, and it looks like he is on a tear right now, about to win an MVP. He only turns 23 today. He needs just 2 more homers to match the 28 homers that he hit over 150 games last year. And he still won the Rookie of the Year. And I'll tell you what, like Turd pointed out just the other day, Gunnar Henderson is looking like Alex Rodriguez in his prime right now. His batting average is .290 on the season with 26 homers, 58 RBIs, 72 runs scored, and 13 stolen bases. Look at this. I mean, he's on pace for like 160 runs. He's on pace for 50 homers. He's on pace for 25 stolen bases and over 100 RBIs. This guy is not batting in the middle of the lineup. Obviously, he's batting toward the top of the lineup because he's got 72 runs, which tells me he's batting in the top 3. Am I right? Am I right, Eddie? Am I right, Samantha? Where's Gunnar Henderson? And do you guys have the Gunnar Henderson jerseys yet? Because this kid is single-handedly taking the Orioles to the World Series, right? Now, John Garofalo wants to know, do I pitch Paul Skeens in Atlanta with a 50% chance of rain, hot and humid, or Cole Reagans at home versus Cleveland? Now, all right, that is a tough question. I'd like some input from the chat room on that one. Everybody understands that Cleveland has the best record in baseball. Skeens is excellent. Love to watch him, throwing lots of gas. Obviously, Atlanta doesn't have a roof if we're concerned about the chance of rain. What, Leonard?
Cleveland, take the home team with, I forgot the question.
Okay, well, Lenny forgot the question, but he says that he thinks you should take the home team. All right. Now, Reynaldo Lopez's expected ERA is 3.98, but his actual ERA is 1.7. You hear that, turd? Time to sell on Reynaldo Lopez. I looked up his formula, which is ground balls and strikeout percentage. His ground balls is only 39%. That's not good. It's not great, and it's not even good. Reynaldo Lopez does not get enough balls on the ground. That's my opinion. It's probably league average, 39% ground ball, but I like to find guys that are like 45 to 50% ground balls, and obviously everybody doesn't come that way, but his strikeouts are good, the highest of his career, 24.8% strikeout rate this year, lots of swinging strikes for this guy, but the batting average on balls in play tends to say that he is getting a little lucky, and his fielding independent percentage is over 4, while his ERA... Oh, wait, what am I'm not looking at the right year. Shoot. All right, I need some help from the chat room because I'm looking at the wrong year for Reynaldo Lopez's stats. I made a mistake. I did not look at the appropriate season for the ground balls or the strikeout percentage. So I would assume that his strikeout percentage is still a career high right now. His ERA is 170, and I don't even know the batting average on balls in play because, to be honest with everybody, I'm looking at 2021. So, all right, I made a mistake and I don't have time to look at it. But if anybody has time to go to RotoWire and look at Reynaldo Lopez's strikeout percentage and ground ball percentage, which you can find if you scroll down and look at the advanced stats for Reynaldo Lopez. Boston Paul, you're the only one I know with the RotoWire membership that's in the chat room, so please help a girl out. But I can tell you for sure that Reynaldo Lopez's expected ERA, which is xERA, is 3.98, and his actual ERA is 1.70. That's according to StatCast, so that is true. The only thing that's untrue is my research on top of that, which turns out I'm looking at the wrong damn season. All right, average home attendance this year versus last year with the same number of games and rounded to the nearest 1,000. The biggest increase that we're seeing is with Arizona. Interestingly, they have an added 7,000 fans per game. Baltimore Orioles coming in second with an extra 6,000 fans per game. And toting on the bottom here is the Mets. They're missing 7,000 fans a game this year so far, and the Cardinals are negative 6,000 fans per game. Also, Houston has lost 5,000 fans per game, and here's the funny thing. You look at Oakland and the White Sox. How could Oakland lose 4,000 fans per game when Oakland only had 4,000 fans per game last year? Think about that one. And I don't know if they had 4,000, but it was close to that. I mean, they didn't have a lot. So it's incredible that the Mariners are actually able to increase the attendance. And this one's for you, John Garofalo. The Mariners have increased their fans per game by 1,000. So it is incredible that the Mariners were able to increase attendance after missing the postseason last year, but Mariners fans are used to losing. They do not care if you make the postseason. They're still going to be good fans, and that's that. The Oakland Athletics have finally won on the road. They beat Arizona 9-4, snapping their 11-game road losing streak, which was also the 5th longest in franchise history. Thank you, Malpal. All right, so it's close to the same. His strikeout percentage is 25%, and his ground ball is only 36%, which goes right along the line of what he normally does, which is about a 36% ground ball rate, which isn't enough in my opinion. I don't know for sure. Thank you very much, everybody, for helping me out. Way to go, chat room. Juan Soto hit his 20th homer of the year, which was a 3-run shot for a 4-3 Yankees lead. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto have now combined for 50 homers and 137 RBIs halfway through the season. That's excellent. Thank you, Boston Paul. Thank you to Malpal. Chris JP wants to know if Seattle cut their prices. I know they serve crickets and Dungeness crab nachos, which are the best thing ever, but don't put crickets on top of it or you might throw up. Right, John Garofalo? Okay. The Baltimore Orioles are beating the Yankees in the American League East. They're number 1 now. The Yankees trail them, but they still have a 101 positive run differential. The New York Yankees, they're 3-7 in their last 10, but they did win last night. I said earlier there's only 4 teams with a positive 100 or more run differential, and 2 of them are in the American League East. The Mets, here we go about the Mets again. They do not have a finalist to start the All-Star game, and they'll still have at least 1 rep this year in Texas. Every team gets at least 1 player, with Luis Severino and Francisco Lindor among those presenting compelling cases. But the announcement yesterday just means that they don't have a starter for the All-Star game. Who cares? We need these guys to be on the field, right, Laura? Winning games and getting in the playoffs. Does everybody in the chat room agree that every team must have at least 1 representative player in the All-Star game? Should teams like bad teams, right, where you have to like skim through and go, oh my gosh, there's really no good player on this team. Who do we have to pick just because everybody has to have at least 1? Do you think that's a good rule or a bad rule, or do you think just the best player should get in the All-Star game? Turd brings up the fact that Mets pitcher Christian Scott is close to a return if you're in need of a starting pitcher. Now, Eddie Heckman brings up that Adley Rutschman has a batting average of 300. Gunnar Henderson is only batting 290, but the O's game is absolutely sold out for tonight's game, which Eddie Heckman and family will be attending. And you did say they were having some kind of promotion, so let me know what that is again. Unholy says, not necessarily should every team have a representative at the All-Star game. Turd brings up the fact that Shane Baz, Christian Scott, and Max Meyer are all nice stashes. He would take them in that order. Shane Baz, Christian Scott, and Max Meyer. We need some input on John Garofalo's question. Do you like Paul Skeens today in Atlanta where it's rainy and hot, or Cole Reagans versus Cleveland at home?
Reagans.
Lenny says Reagans without a doubt. Starters and Boston Paul says only the best players should be in there, and Turd says he likes each team having a representative. Tommy Johnson says that every team should have 1 representative, but he's also in favor of the best players. Considering the All-Star game doesn't get much viewership, he doesn't think, and now it really doesn't matter anymore because it used to have an impact on the World Series and the playoffs, but it does not have an impact anymore, so it is all just about fun, and that is a good point that we bring up. Data Premier says every team should have 1. It's an exhibition game. That I agree with that. Now, here's some starting pitchers who could hit the market. They include Tyler Anderson, Garrett Crochet, Eric Fetty, Frankie Montas, and Zach Eflin. The Tigers could sell Jack Flaherty, would be the big piece there. The last pure reliever with 100 innings in the season was New York Yankees.
Don't say his name. Don't say his name.
Why? We're going to do another genius?
Yeah, throw it out there.
All right. We got another genius of the day. This is the 2006 New York Yankees. He was the last pure reliever with 100 innings in a season, and he actually did that in 2 seasons straight. He appeared in 83 games in 2006 and 83 games in 2007. Who is he? The last pure reliever with 100 innings in a season. Shoot, start guessing in the chat room now. I gave you a ton of hints in that, so I'm not going to repeat it, but it was not Rivera, and it was a Yankees pure reliever, 100 innings in a season. It was 2 years in a row that he appeared in 83 games in both 2006 and 2007. He's 3rd and 5th most amongst all MLB pitchers, respectively, according to relievers. Obviously not everybody. Leonard Donaldson says Wetland.
No.
That's a no, but we love the guesses. John Garofalo is picking raspberries with his wife, so he can't hear me, but have a great time. Don't cut yourself. Those are very dangerous plants. Okay, injuries have hit the Tampa Bay Rays rotation hard this season, and health should not be viewed as a given. There's 2 key reinforcements on the way because the Rays may end up being a team to watch when it comes to sellers in the starting pitching market, and that is based on how these 2 come along, Jeffrey Springs and Shane Baz. They're both working their way back from injuries at AAA Durham. The officials view Shane Baz as building himself up now that he's healthy, but Springs remains behind in terms of the Rays knowing what to fully expect from him for the rest of the year. If everything goes smoothly, the Rays may end up with one of those good problems to have with too many starting pitchers, so they may have to create 2 openings in their starting rotation, which currently includes Eflin, Aaron Savali, Taj Bradley, Zach Littell, and Ryan Pepio. So as things stand, none of those guys deserves to be optioned to the minor leagues. So if things stay on track, Tampa Bay Rays could sell or trade a couple of starting pitchers. Of the group, league sources suggest that Aaron Savali and Zach Littell would be the likeliest to be traded because Littell, who's 28, is making $1.8 million this year and has an additional year to go before becoming a free agent in 2026. Aaron Savali, 29 years old, also won't be a free agent until 2026, and he's making $4.9 million this year. Yesterday, Drew Thorpe earned the win with a stellar outing in his home White Sox debut. Daniel, are you still here? Drew Thorpe's grandfather was there to snap action shots, as he has been for most of the journey for MLB's number 53 prospect. Drew Thorpe, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts.
You can give the answer now, Scott Proctor.
The answer is Scott Proctor. But we love all the thanks very much for everybody. Big Al on the Prowl is here. Chris Gallo is here. Great to see you, my friends. Great to see Oinism. Onsome. I don't know how to say your name, but we're glad you're here, okay? Marlon's effort to control Yuri's innings last year did not work, and he doesn't know why they're repeating the process with Max Meyer. That's true. We have a lot of good guesses in the chat room, okay? Malpal says Crochet probably has an innings limit, so he wonders if a viable trade candidate. Daniel, the Hulkster Ferrara, is still here holding down the fort. Loves to hear about his Chicago White Sox, especially when it's good news, right? Turd says he was about to guess Jeff Nelson, but that's probably the wrong era completely. Players with more walks than strikeouts this season. Okay, let's go. Juan Soto, 65 walks, 57 strikeouts. Mookie Betts, not a surprise, right? 47 walks and 34 strikeouts. Kyle Tucker, 46 walks and 41 strikeouts. Stephen Kwan has 20 walks and only 16 strikeouts. Spencer Horwitz, 11 walks and 6 strikeouts. And Jason DeLay, 2 walks and no strikeouts. So, also, the Giants announced that they placed infielders Thairo Estrada and Wilmer Flores on the 10-day injured list. Estrada has a left wrist sprain, and Wilmer Flores has knee tendonitis. In corresponding moves, the club has called up infielder Tyler Fitzgerald and activated first baseman Lamont Wade Jr. from the 10-day injured list. Unholy is right once again. It is Proctor for the New York Yankees, who threw 100 innings in each of 2006 and 2007 in 83 games each season. So 83 appearances, over 100 innings, the last pure reliever to do that. Now, Eddie, Tommy Johnson wants you, and we all want you to enjoy the Orioles game today with your family. It is priceless memories made. Happiest birthday to Samantha, the oldest of Eddie's 4 granddaughters. Boy, Eddie, surrounded by women, right? Just like Malpal, surrounded by women. From a Pirates fan, it's great to see the Orioles ballpark selling out and the franchise in the thick of things. Yes, sir. We love it. Tommy Johnson, and great stuff from everybody. We appreciate you joining us on this Saturday morning. I hope the weather presents a wonderful day for everybody. Laura, let's go Mets, and J.R. Matz and family, welcome back. Eddie Heckman, Daniel Ferrara, Dad's a Premier, Chris JP, once again, thank you for all you do, coming and sharing all the transactions every morning before the chat room gets awake. Big Al on the prowl, Chris Gallo, Chris from Cambridge, sharing birthdays every day. Boston Paul at the Starbucks, listening to the show with his coffee and his breakfast. Leonard Donaldson. Who else, Leonard? I can't.
Laura.
And Laura, you know we love you. And Mary,
Mitchell,
Malpal, Teresa, Artina, Eddie, Teresa.
With an O. O-I-N-O.
Our new friend with an O.
Organism.
And who else? Rotorius, the fellow Met fan.
King Turd.
Tommy Johnson. Unholy Toledo. And I'll leave it there with Unholy Toledo. We will see you tomorrow for Lady and the Legend. Adios.